It was 12:17, according to the green clock shining bright from my car's dashboard as I was driving home from the night shift at the pharmacy I worked at. Taking the highway at this hour is a little dangerous since there are no lights, usually no other cars at that hour, and deer commonly walk out onto the road. That's why I always drive slow 50 max. As the road curved to the left, a clear row of reflective lights appeared in the horizon, which I quickly realized was a row of traffic cones, along with a flashing blue light. In front of them seemed to be the reflective material on a safety vest. I was confused, trying to figure out what this was about, and didn't even think to slam on the brakes until it was almost too late. The car came to a halting stop as the horrid screeching of my tire stopped, and the man wearing the reflective vest started walking toward my car, arms out waving. I guessed he was telling me not to move. As he got closer, I could see what appeared to be a police uniform under the vest. He knocked on my window with his finger. I rolled down the window and gave him my license and registration when he asked. He spoke in a very low, non-commanding voice. He asked me to step out of the vehicle to begin a sobriety test. I stepped out and immediately noticed the cop towered over me in height. He took a roll of tape out from his vest pocket and laid it down on the ground, stretching it about 15 feet. He told me to step on the end of the roll of tape, place my arms out to my sides, and walk across the tape in a straight line. I did it with no issues, but he stayed uncomfortably close behind me. When I got to the end of the tape, I saw that the blue flashing light wasn't sitting on top of a police car. It was sitting on an older, small sedan. I asked to see his badge, and he gave me the blankiest stare. It started to sink in. I realized this guy wasn't a cop. He bent over into his car, grabbing something. While he was distracted, I ran back to my car. He looked at me as I started the car and raised a gun. I put the pedal to the floor and drove through the traffic cones. I saw the headlights of his car a few hundred feet away, but I was already going over 60. I got off at the next exit, turned off my car lights as soon as there were street lights, and finished the drive home. I wish I had a dash cam at the time, because I swear it would have wound up on the news. I work as a tow truck operator in a rural part of northern Arizona. I've been doing it for about 8 years, mostly handling cars that break down along the highways outside town. Most of my calls are straightforward: flat tires, dead batteries, or cars stuck in a ditch after someone misjudged a turn. I've seen enough strange stuff over the years to know that the road can get weird, but nothing quite like what happened one night. It started around 11:30 p.m. on a Thursday. I was at home, half watching a late news rerun, when my phone rang. It was the dispatch line, asking if I could handle a car stranded on Highway 89, north of town. The caller was brief. They said a car was pulled over with its hazards flashing. When they called in, there was no sign of anyone around. They checked once, then drove on, and wanted me to handle it. I grabbed my jacket and headed out. The roads were empty, save for the occasional freight truck rumbling past. Highway 89 is mostly straight once you leave the town limits, with stretches where the headlights of an approaching car are the only things breaking the darkness. I had to drive carefully. It's easy to miss a car at night, especially one pulled over on the shoulder. When I reached the area near mile marker 142, I saw it. A black sedan was sitting on the shoulder with its hazard lights blinking. I slowed and pulled up behind it, switching on my own flashers. What struck me immediately was that there was no one in the driver's seat, no one in the passenger side either. I got out and walked around the car, flashlight in hand. The doors were unlocked, which was unusual. Most people leave a door locked even if they step out for a moment. I checked the interior and immediately noticed something strange. The driver's seat was adjusted oddly low, almost like someone had been crouching in it. The steering wheel had fingerprints, but none of them looked fresh. The car smelled faintly of burnt coffee and motor oil, but there was a dampness to it, like someone had been sitting there for a while in the rain, even though it hadn't rained in days. I called into dispatch to report that the driver wasn't there. While I was on the line, I noticed the glove compartment slightly ajar. When I opened it, there were a few items that didn't belong to the driver. Or maybe they did, but in a way that didn't make sense. There were several photographs, all of them pictures of me. At first, I thought it was a joke. I've had calls that involved pranks before, but these weren't random photos. They were taken from different angles, some clearly outside my house, others in my garage, and a few in my truck while I was driving. I felt a chill creep up my back. Whoever had been in this car had been watching me for a long time. The thought hit me. Maybe they were still around. I shined my flashlight around the shoulder, into the brush and trees that lined the road. Nothing. Just the usual dark silhouettes of pine trees and the faint glow of distant town lights. I decided to hook up the car and get it back to my lot. I walked to my truck, put the chains on, and returned to the sedan. That's when I noticed it. The back seat had been rearranged. There were no seats in the normal position. Instead, it looked like a small command center. A laptop was open, and someone had left it running. It showed a live feed, my driveway, my garage, the street leading to my house. I hadn't touched any of this equipment. My hands started shaking, but I forced myself to keep calm. I can't remember exactly how long I spent standing there staring at that laptop, trying to figure out if this was some kind of setup or just someone with too much time on their hands. It was surreal, but I knew I had to act. I hooked the car up and began towing it slowly back to town. Every mile felt like someone was following me. I kept checking the mirrors, half expecting headlights to appear, but the road was empty. By the time I got back into town, I called the police to report everything. They said they'd send someone out to the highway, but when I returned to the lot to secure the car overnight, they called again. The car had been empty, completely stripped out, before they even arrived. The laptop, photos, and everything inside were gone. It was as if no one had ever been in it, except for the car itself, sitting there like nothing had happened. I haven't gone back to that stretch of Highway 89 since. I keep thinking about those photos and the fact that someone had been watching me. I didn't even see him at first. I only stopped my truck because I thought there was a piece of tarp lying near the guardrail, and I didn't want to run it over. I slowed my rig down, hit the hazards, and pulled onto the shoulder. When my headlights swept over the tarp, it moved. That's when I realized it was a man curled up, arms tight to his chest, shivering hard. We were on a lonely stretch of I-80 in Wyoming, and the wind was tearing across the road so fast it felt like it was slicing through the cab. Anyone caught out there on foot wouldn't last long. I got out and yelled to him, asking if he could walk. He didn't answer. He just stared at me like he wasn't sure if I was real. Most truckers have a rule about picking up hitchhikers. I have one too. Don't do it at night. Don't do it in the middle of nowhere. Don't do it when the weather's bad. That night broke all three rules, but leaving him there was an option. I helped him climb into the passenger seat. His clothes were soaked in frost, and he breathed like someone who'd been running hard before he collapsed. Once he settled in, I turned up the heat and got back on the road. We didn't speak for a while. I figured he was half frozen and needed time to warm up. I handed him a spare thermos of coffee I keep around. He drank it slowly, staring at the dashboard like he was trying to remember something. After a few minutes, he said, "You weren't supposed to take exit 212 tonight." I didn't react much at first. People say weird things when they're cold, scared, or disoriented. I just kept my hands on the wheel and asked him how long he'd been out there. He didn't answer my question. Instead, he said, "Your sister's dog didn't actually get out of the yard. You know that, right?" I glanced over at him. That incident wasn't something people knew about. My sister had lost her dog 3 years earlier. We never found out how it got out. Only me, her, and her husband talked about the details. I asked him how he knew that. He smiled, not in a creepy way, just a small, tired smile like he expected the question. "You're heading to Salt Lake. You're behind schedule by an hour and 17 minutes. You didn't mean to be, but you overslept. And you didn't tell dispatch." I felt my chest tighten. That was all true. I hadn't told anyone. I hadn't mentioned it on the CB, and my logbook hadn't been updated yet. I asked again who he was. He said, "Someone who needed a ride." That wasn't enough. I pressed him. I told him he was starting to freak me out. He kept calmly talking like he wasn't aware of the things he was saying. He said, "You dream about the same road every month. The one with the lights that don't belong there." The way he said it, flat, casual, like it was obvious, made my hands go numb. That dream wasn't something I shared with anyone. I'd been having it for years. A long stretch of highway I didn't recognize, no signs, no towns, and a set of lights behind me that always matched my speed. I didn't say a word after that. I just drove. The heater hummed and the wind battered against the cab. The guy sat there calm, still shaking from the cold, but talking like he was reading from a list that only he could see. Then he said, "You shouldn't drive past the way station tonight." I asked him why. He stared out the windshield. "You'll find out." That was enough. I reached for the CB radio and started to call in a wellness check, thinking maybe this guy escaped the hospital or had a mental breakdown. Before I could say anything, he said, "They won't pick up right now. The frequency's tied up." I froze with my hand still hovering over the CB. He was right. It was nothing but chatter from drivers arguing over road closures. Usually it goes quiet around midnight, but that night it was jammed. "What do you want from me?" I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he leaned back and closed his eyes like he finally felt safe. For 10 minutes, he didn't speak. I kept glancing over, making sure he didn't pass out. He looked exhausted, but stable. Right when I thought he might have fallen asleep, he said, "There's someone behind us now." I checked the mirrors. Nothing. Just my own trailer lights bouncing against the dark. He said, "They're too far away to see yet." I didn't like how calm he was. I didn't like how sure he sounded. I didn't like that my stomach tightened the way it did, like a warning I couldn't explain. Another 10 miles passed. No cars behind us. No headlights. No glow on the horizon. Then I saw it, just a faint light way back, like a single headlamp, but too low to the ground to be a motorcycle. I kept checking, trying to figure out if it was moving or bouncing, or if I imagined it. The hitchhiker said, "You see it now." I didn't say anything. He said, "Don't slow down. Don't pull over. And whatever you do, don't stop near the way station." I asked him if someone was after him. He didn't answer. The light behind us got brighter. It was still far, but definitely approaching. I pushed the rig a bit faster. The needle crept up just beyond where I normally keep it. The man finally spoke again. Quietly, "You're going to lose them after the next curve. They always fall behind there. Just stay steady." I didn't know why, but I listened. We reached the curve, and the light behind us faded. Not gradually, it was just gone. He let out a slow breath, like he'd been holding it the entire time. Another 5 minutes passed. Then he said, "You can let me out at the next pull-off." I told him absolutely not. I wasn't dropping someone in the middle of nowhere in the cold. "It's okay," he said. "I won't be there long." We reached the pull-off. I parked the rig. He thanked me, climbed down, and walked toward the open field beside the road like he knew exactly where he was going. I watched him the whole time. He didn't look back. He just kept moving until he vanished into the dark like there was a path only he could see. I waited a full minute before getting out to check. No footprints, no marks in frost, nothing, just an empty field. I called the sheriff's office later to report the incident, thinking they'd want to search the area. They checked the spot the next morning. Still nothing. A week later, I passed the same stretch of road. Same cold wind. Same empty field. I kept thinking about the light behind us, and how it disappeared right when he said it would. I haven't picked up another hitchhiker since that night.